Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Pini Althaus from Cove Capital. Pini, how are you today?
Doing very well, Tracy. Good to be talking to you again.
Well, it's lovely to speak to you. And normally I don't read something at the beginning of my interviews, but I'm going to do this with you. I was doing some research on you this morning, and it says, beyond his corporate ventures, Pini Althaus has become a prominent voice on critical minerals policy. He has advised both U.S. Republican and Democratic administrations on strategies to establish secure domestic supply chains for critical minerals. Notably, Althaus was instrumental in shaping high-level U.S. policies. He contributed to the formulation of President Trump's and President Biden's executive orders on critical minerals and has influenced bipartisan legislation, including the RARE Act and the Permanent Magnet Act. So how about we start there, Pini, with how is Trump's administration doing on critical minerals? And can you give us some oversight on what is happening right now?
Sure. So first of all, it's very flattering, but I didn't do anything myself. I'm part of a group of a number of people that have been advocates, including your own Jack Lifton and others, for many years, and trying to make the US aware of what it needs to do to establish a domestic supply chain. But regarding President Trump and the current administration, we're actually experiencing firsthand not only what we're reading with some of the deals and some of the moves that the administration is taking, but we're experiencing a very hands-on, practical and commercial approach to solving the critical minerals crisis. That's exactly what it is, a crisis in the United States. And we're seeing, first of all, the executive orders shortly after the inauguration, giving instruction for the establishment of a domestic supply chain, both in the United States and also looking at establishing relationship with allied countries in order to bring critical minerals into the US supply chain. And the Trump administration has been extremely active on all fronts, and happy to go into more detail. But for example, with what we're doing in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and elsewhere, the administration is very engaged at the highest levels and are moving forward with some of the entities within the administration, within the US government, like the DFC, like Exim Bank. And we're seeing a lot of proactivity, which is something we have not seen to date from either Republican or Democratic administrations in the past. Perhaps it's the urgency of the time we're in. But I should say as well that when we worked with President Trump during the first administration, he had a very keen sense of the critical minerals issue. He started to enact various things or take measures like the Fast 41. Unfortunately, COVID hit and everything took a back, sort of went on the back burner, if you will, including critical minerals. But glad to see that the president and the administration are very actively involved.
Well, speaking of that, let's just jump right into it. You are the founder of CAS Resources, and you're the first company, I believe it was 2023, to receive mining concessions, critical mineral concessions in Kazakhstan. Is that correct?
That's correct. So, as you know, I founded USA Rare Earth, which went public earlier this year. And my focus the last 2 years has been looking at international opportunities in order to bring materials into the US supply chain. I believe it's going to take a good 15 to 20 years to have a real impact here in the US in terms of having whatever critical minerals we're talking about coming into production, and obviously tackling the downstream processing. So looking at countries like Kazakhstan, for example, that are very mineral rich and have a long history of mining, processing, etc., was a logical step for us. So we became, under the Biden administration, we received a number of licenses with the help of the US government then. And that has continued further and even more aggressively since President Trump took office. We've been issued 13 licenses in Kazakhstan. We have a license to develop tailings, so we're currently building a pilot plant in country to process those tailings, which include a number of critical minerals, including lithium, niobium, and beryllium. And we became a 75% owner of the largest rare earth project in Kazakhstan called Akbulak, which has a historical resource of 380,000 ton of various rare earths, primarily the key magnet rare earths, and that's a joint venture with the state-owned mining company Talc and Samruk. So we've already started on that project as well.
In reading about CAS Resources, you have many of the top critical minerals. You have the core four and the rare earths. You have lithium, tantalum, beryllium, niobium, cesium, tin, and even rubidium, which we just did a big promotional marketing item on yesterday with Helgarten Plus Company. Can you talk to us a little bit more about your priorities? Because I know you have a very aggressive plan for production.
Yeah, so rare earths, obviously the key magnet materials, is a significant priority for us, as is lithium. And I know many are not bullish on lithium or have been sort of closing down lithium mines in certain parts of the world. We see things a little bit differently. First of all, the time to acquire or get into projects or start the initial development of projects is not necessarily when the commodities are at all-time highs. That's one of the constraints that we don't have. We're a private company, so we operate a little bit differently, but we believe that there will be a shortfall, whether or not it's 27, 28 or 28, 29. But the need for lithium is there. And so we've started to invest in the future, if you will. So lithium and the rare earths would be sort of the key. And then, of course, beryllium has its importance, tantalum, niobium, cesium, and tin, and as you said, rubidium. But the lithium and rare earths are the primary for us.
So, not only will you be doing exploration to production, you're also involved, you're the CEO of Remag, which is being billed as the world's first carbon-free rare earth magnet recycling technology. Will you obviously be using this over in Kazakhstan?
Yeah, we'll be using it not just in Kazakhstan, but we've started a pretty significant commercial activity in terms of developing our first plant. And the focus right now is in Australia, India, and the United States. And there are many companies doing recycling now of end-of-life magnets. A lot of them are using various chemicals, reagents, solvent extraction, old technologies. We have an extremely unique technology, one that is patented in many countries and patent pending in most others. It may be the only true carbon-free process. We use very small amounts of electricity to break down the magnets. Our recoveries are in excess of 85%, which is very high in the industry. And we've also identified significant sources of feedstock. So we've got both a magnet to powder and a magnet to magnet commercial plan that we're rolling out. And we're going to have some fairly big news, which includes various commercial partners, validation partners within the next couple of months.
Well, certainly that sounds incredibly exciting. I don't think many people understand how large the Indian market is for rare earth recycling, for instance. So that is very exciting. Can you tell me if you're planning, if you can give our audience any kind of update on how you might be doing the financing for Remag? Will that be going public, for instance?
Yeah, we're actually looking at the potential to list it in Australia to begin with. Australia, the ASX is a very good market sort of to jumpstart not just a mining company, but companies in this space in general. There's an extremely good fundamental understanding of critical minerals in Australia. There's a lot of participation from various research institutes, commercial entities, the government, of course. Again, our priority is the US market in terms of being able to bring materials back into the United States. But in terms of sort of doing the initial design engineering for the commercial plant and some of the commercial partnerships that we're establishing, that's starting in Australia. As you mentioned, India is a very significant market, and the Indian government have made a flurry of announcements in the last couple of months about their aspirations pertaining to establishing a critical mineral supply chain, with rare earths being sort of the top of the list. So we're looking at some strategic partnerships there. And of course, there's a lot of feedstock in the subcontinent. Feedstock is not really going to be the issue for us. There's well over 100,000 ton of feedstock just in the subcontinent.
So you also referenced Uzbekistan. Can you tell us what you're doing there? Is that through CAS Resources?
Yeah, so that's actually through Cove Capital is sort of the holding company, if you will, for our portfolio companies. Whether or not we sort of have a single company for our Central Asian projects or keep them separate, that's a decision we'll make sort of depending on the projects themselves, what's required to develop these projects, whether there are synergies between them. But we've had two recent visits to Uzbekistan. I had the privilege of meeting with President Mirziyoyev 3 times in the recent visit last month. Uzbekistan have enacted under President Mirziyoyev significant reforms, not just in business, but in mining as well. They have an extremely good understanding of the industry. The two primary ministers that deal with mining understand the fundamentals. Their deputies understand the fundamentals. They've formed a new entity called UzTMK that they've allocated a couple of $100 million for, and put a number of the projects in country into that portfolio. They are looking for joint venture partners. So we are doing our due diligence into some opportunities there. And Uzbekistan have expressed a very strong desire to have US companies or Western companies develop projects there, and are actually sort of setting the stage, if you will, for companies to come there and be able to operate in a sort of similar environment to what we would in the West.
Well, just going back to Trump for a second, we've heard a lot of feedback down from Mar-a-Lago, actually, that President Trump's administration will be making their final decisions for critical mineral deals they'll be prioritizing by August 30th. Are you able to confirm that, or are you planning on golfing anytime soon?
Yeah, no, I don't have any insight into what's happening with other companies. I sort of try to stay in our own lane. Our only interest in other companies is how we can sort of work with each other. I think, as you've heard me express in the past, Tracy, it's a very early stage for all of us here in the US, and I don't see competition. We don't have enough mines, whether it's rare earths, lithium, or other critical minerals, to be talking about competition right now. And if you've got a mine in California, or a mine in Texas, or a mine elsewhere, they're not competing projects. I don't think anybody's got enough of any material to claim to be able to solve all the supply chain issues. So we're happy to see the administration get involved in as many critical minerals companies as possible. I can tell you with our project in particular, the administration has been very hands-on. This is absolutely a top priority. I'm sure sort of everybody saw that during the Ukraine discussions pertaining to critical minerals. But beyond that, the president has taken a very strong interest personally in this, as the Secretary of State Rubio, who has a long track record of talking about critical minerals, in fact, in his confirmation hearing, and also Secretary of Commerce Lutnick has also been very actively engaged in critical minerals. So we're looking forward to some big news coming out of the administration, and we do need to do something to sort of counter, I guess, this dependence we have on China at present.
So one final question. Everybody watching this interview is going to go, how do I get in touch with Pini and Cove Capital? Can you please tell us how to instruct any interest to Cove Capital for M&As or interest in their projects?
Yeah, we'd happily provide our contact details, Tracy. Happy for you to put that sort of together with any link. But we're happy to look at potential joint ventures, strategic partnerships, etc. As you said, we think that collaboration is the name of the game. No one company has the answers to everything. So very happy for people to contact us. And we just, in general, sort of give out whatever free advice, what it may be worth or not, to others as well, to assist where we can. And we wish there was a junior resource sector in the United States as there is in Australia and Canada. So we'd love to see more US companies, and in fact more Canadian and Australian companies get involved in Central Asia and other parts of the world.
For those of you interested in finding out more, please go to the following website. Pini, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Tracy. A pleasure.